Is China looking for a fight?
No, the question actually should be thrown back to the United States. Are you looking for a fight in Taiwan Strait or not? Because there are two dangerous areas for us in which China and the U.S. could come into fight. One is South China Sea, the other is Taiwan Strait. In South China Sea, it might be triggered by a kind of unintended collision of aircraft or ships. Yes, we had that before, yes. Right? But now the situation is different because the public opinions have changed. So,
but if China is not looking for a fight, why the military buildup?
Good question, because the Chinese military, like the U.S. military, has more than one mission. Because for all military, it's just for territorial defense. This is the same thing, right? But for major power, actually they could have two more things. One is to protect your overseas interest, and the other one is to shoulder your international responsibilities.
大家好，欢迎来到本期内容。在全球化深度交融的今天，各方高层的思维碰撞总能给我们带来不一样的视角。最近，在一场关于国际顶层对话的探讨中，一位长期致力于国际安全合作的中国退役高级军官接受了海外主流媒体的深度专访。面对镜头，他用极其务实且睿智的逻辑拆解了当前国际大环境中各方在面对复杂博弈时所展现的智慧。比如在没有实战检验的情况下，一个团队如何保持长久的威慑力与竞争力，面对外部环境的变化，我们又该如何从别人的经验中吸取养分，少走弯路。这不仅仅是一场国际视角的交锋，更是一堂生动的战略思维课。今天我们就来聊聊这场对话背后那些值得我们深思的逻辑与智慧。
You saw earlier I spoke with retired senior Colonel So Boa about what China stands to gain from these talks and about what intel they've gathered from watching the U.S. wage war against Iran. Here's more of our conversation. What do you think the most important aspect of these negotiations is for China?
Well, you see, it depends on who you are. Yeah, from the American side, I think it is more about the deals, different deals, maybe even. Yeah, the war in Iran could be a deal, but from Chinese side, I believe Taiwan issue would be the top agenda. I don't believe
which issue?
Taiwan issue.
Taiwan? Okay.
Yeah, because in part that is because it was not mentioned in Korea when the two leaders met. So this time being China, yeah, so I'm sure they are going to talk about it.
Is China looking for a fight?
No, the question actually should be thrown back to the United States. Are you looking for a fight in Taiwan Strait or not? Because there are two dangerous areas for us in which China and the U.S. could come into fight. One is South China Sea, the other is Taiwan Strait. In South China Sea, it might be triggered by a kind of unintended collision of aircraft or ships. Yes, we had that before, yes. Right? But now the situation is different because the public opinions have changed. So,
but if China is not looking for a fight, why the military buildup?
Good question, because the Chinese military, like the U.S. military, has more than one mission. Because for all military, it's just for territorial defense. This is the same thing, right? But for major power, actually they could have two more things. One is to protect your overseas interest, and the other one is to shoulder your international responsibilities. So we are not only thinking about Taiwan.
What do you think China's military has learned from the U.S. war with Iran?
Well, I think we have learned a number of things. First of all, your allies are not really helpful. Yeah, so having
our allies aren't helpful.
Your allies are not helpful. None of them would come to help you, right? So that means you have wasted your money over the past years and decades. Yeah, and so that is a good lesson for China, because Chinese policy is not to have an alliance, right? And besides. Fighting far away, from your own shores, yeah, which is not justifiable politically. Yeah, this actually would just you invite, all this kind of, negative repercussion even from your allies. So nobody knows why Trump has actually launched the war, according to what I have read from all of your newspapers, right?
That is a very interesting answer, what you said there earlier, before your caveat. I do want to ask you, though, speaking militarily, has China observed how the U.S. attacked Iran, the use of drones, the way it is using its naval assets as well?
Well, of course, we are watching because you see, in terms of drones, China actually is one of the most developed countries in producing all kinds of drones. Yeah, the only thing is because we do not have a war, so we don't know how reliable they are. But there is a good example in the aeroflight between India and Pakistan. Yeah, in which Pakistan used Chinese. Aircraft to shoot down the best aircraft from France. So that shows Chinese weapons could work quite well.
You mentioned this, so I would like to ask you about it. China has not been involved in a war for nearly 50 years.
Yes.
The battlefield is now very foreign to China. Is that dangerous?
Well, this is kind of dilemma. For example, you are having a sword. You don't know how sharp it is, right? But you just cannot chop down somebody's head to see whether it is sharp or not, because not chopping down somebody's head serves your better interest. And so this kind of rise, China's peaceful rise in nearly half a century, is the best dividend for China, because China is certainly much stronger. China is next only to the United States.
What is your assessment of the U.S. military?
The U.S. military is number one in the world. That is for sure. Because even if the wars in Venezuela and in Iran are not justifiable politically, but militarily, they are well done. Yeah. So everybody would have to agree. To that. And the target of the PLA, the Chinese military, is to become a world-class military by 2049. That will be 100th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. But then the question is, who is already world-class military, right? If you want to become world-class, then I believe the only military that is world-class right now is the U.S. military.
Do you think China sees the U.S. as an ally, a partner, or as an enemy?
Certainly the United States is not an ally, is not an enemy. We, according to you, are competitors. Yeah. But there is something good. What is good? In 21st century, we do not have this kind of ideological rivalry. So that means even if we're competing within the same international system. So that actually would make our bilateral relationship much easier.
Colonel, I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.
看完这段对话，我们可以发现，真正的顶级沟通往往不是剑拔弩张，而是用逻辑和长远格局去化解分歧。在这场对话中，有3个非常具有启发性的思考维度。首先是关于如何证明自身实力的智慧，就像嘉宾在专访中所提到的，拥有一把利刃，并不需要通过伤害他人来证明他的锋利。在过去的几十年里，能够保持稳定并实现长期的繁荣发展，这本身就是一种最大的实力证明。在职场或企业经营中也是如此，长久的战略定力往往高于一时的锋芒毕露。其次是对外部经验的理性借鉴，通过观察其他经济体或组织在国际事务中的投入与产出，我们能够更清晰地看到传统的合作模式在现代社会正面临着哪些新的挑战，坚持走符合自身特色，保持独立自主的发展路径，反而在不确定性增大的时代里，展现出了更高的抗风险能力。同时，面对全球公认的行业标杆，保持谦逊并设定清晰的长期赶超目标，这展现出了一种极大的开放与自信。最后是对未来竞合关系的定义，双方身处在同一个全球化体系和市场规则之内，这种竞争并不是你死我活的对立，而是一种在规则之内的长跑。没有了过去那些根深蒂固的观念隔阂，现代的竞合关系其实可以更加理性，也更容易通过对话去管控和解决。那么看完这段高质量的对话，你对未来的国际合作发展有什么样的看法？你认为在复杂的环境中如何才能保持最好的战略定力？欢迎在评论区分享你的理性思考。喜欢本期内容的朋友，记得点赞、关注和转发。我们下期再见。